Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to Central News for Monday, the 12th of May. I'm Hilary Entwistle. As the ban on psychoactive substances starts to take effect on those withdrawing, many support groups have formed across our regions. A watchdog group in Tauranga is aiming to monitor the clinical, criminal and community impacts of the legislative changes. The government passed its Psychoactive Substances Amendment Bill under urgency in Parliament on Tuesday night by 107 votes to 14. Tauranga's watchdog group coordinator Michael Mills says anyone with information to share is welcome to pass it on or participate as an active member.
Well, a group of us got together initially to call a public meeting to express our concerns with Simon Bridges to the government about the so-called legal highs. When the government did an about turn just days before the meeting, we thought, well, we won't go ahead with the meeting, but we'd form the watchdog group instead as a way of just monitoring what's happening in the community, what's happening in terms of the clinical, criminal and community impacts of the changes in the law and the ban coming in and so on.
Rainbow Youth in the city now have an outlet they can visit to meet other young people questioning their sexuality with the creation of Tauranga Pride. The new group for the city's lesbian, gay, bi and transgender youth will meet on the third Wednesday of each month, and facilitator Katarina Clark says there's a demand for it. Katarina, who with 3 other facilitators received training for the role, is putting the word out about the group, which is part of Auckland's Rainbow Youth group movement. Cyclists are encouraged to be safe, be bright and be seen in an effort to reduce accidents and increase cycle safety awareness as part of the national Be Bright campaign. Bikewise New Zealand Police and Travel Safe are promoting the use of lights and high visibility clothing in order to reduce risk to cyclists during low light periods at dawn and dusk or in poor weather. As part of the campaign, roadside checkpoints will be in place across Tauranga during the next few months, with the next checkpoint on May the 14th at Matapihi Rail Bridge. Travel Safe and police will be assessing reflective gear and lights, and those who have adequate lights will be rewarded with free reflective gear. After being up 25-11 at the end of the first quarter, the Advice First Waikato Pistons had to pull out all their defence tricks to fend off the Breakers' Manawatu Jets in Hamilton yesterday. US import Corin Henry was strong in both offence and defence, as were Alex Talma and Akim Wright. After thrilling a fourth quarter with each team going point for point, the Waikato Pistons claimed the win in the dying seconds, 73-72. Now for the marine forecast. West Coast, Raglan developing Tuesday morning a northwest 15 knots and the southwest swell becomes moderate. Your high tide is 8:48 a.m. East Coast Bay plenty, westerly 10 knots developing for a time and there's showers at times as well. High tide in Tauranga is 13 past 6 p.m. Just ahead, staying warm this winter for less. Welcome to Central News. Most of us will be using our heaters or electric blankets by now, or maybe you're trying to hang out to save on the power bill. Sustainability Options from Tauranga helps people struggling to heat their homes, and I spoke with them to find out some good tips for efficient heating.
The first place I'd start is, let's assume you've got your heating source already in the home, then keep the heat in. So make sure that you're drawing your curtains when evening comes. Make sure that you've eliminated your drafts and look at the insulation of the home. So they're all things about keeping the heat in. After that, then you can start to look at what sort of heating devices that you go into. And there's a wide range of choices relative to how effective do you want it to be versus how efficient do you want it to be.
Most of us use heaters. Is a gas or electric heater better?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that your heat pump's your most efficient source of heating. Whether it's a style of heat someone likes is, not really, I suppose, the question. But heat pumps, and if we're still using the old style heaters, oil column heaters, etc., we just need to get involved with timing them, because otherwise our costs just go up and up and up. Admittedly, if you've got access to free firewood, that's just primo. And some people have gas online. That's still a good source of cost-effective heating as well. But we still go back to heat pumps as being the most cost-effective.
Power prices are set to rise. What are some generic tips on saving power?
Again, it would come back to making sure that the power you're using is used efficiently or effectively. So some of the most common things that we find in people's homes is how much water are they using, and should they use a flow restrictor? Because you're heating a whole lot of water and you might be using more than you need. Or what about the drafts in your home? Is the hot air that you're heating just being floated out through the drafts or through the curtains? So the most common tips we would give focus around, if you're already using that power, how do you make sure you're not wasting it? And that comes around that use of water and heating.
What is a building envelope?
Good question, Hilary. Our building envelope is, I suppose, our outside walls ceiling of the home. So we're trying to encompass it a bit like if you're sleeping in the bed, you know, your building envelope of your bed is your sheets and your mattress. In a home it would be the floor, the walls, the window, the ceiling.
Is it better to use gas or electricity? What is cheaper?
Well, I think as I alluded to before, if we're talking from a heating perspective, electricity with your heat pumps. If you're not using heat pumps, then probably we'd have to say gas, as long as it's online, not gas bottles. Gas bottles are very expensive to use, and in fact it's cheaper to use a fan heater or an oil heater. The cost is basically per kilowatt is cheaper using electricity than gas in those cases.
To find out more, visit Sustainability Options website so.org.nz. The Waikato District Health Board has recently released options regarding the future of Rhoda Reid birthing unit in Morrinsville. Anne-Marie spoke with Ali Thomas from the Piako Maternity Action Group to find out what the options are and what they mean for the community.
Well, they've come back with, they're still very firm that they are not prepared to continue to run the maternity unit. But what they have done is they've given the community the option to come up with a proposal.
And what do they want the community to do?
Well, they want the community to put in expressions of interest through a formal process, through the DHB website, to offer one of three services in the area. One is to continue to provide a labour and birthing and postnatal facility. Mm-hmm. One is to provide just a labour and birth facility, so that means that women would birth at Morrinsville but then have to either transfer through to a birthing unit in Hamilton for their postnatal stay or go home within a few hours of the birth, or just to provide a postnatal facility where they would birth in Hamilton and have to transfer back to Morrinsville for their postnatal stay before they head home.
Is this a better outcome than you thought they would originally come back with?
It is, in that we felt that, and they were very clear, that they wanted to close the unit. So it's better than closing the unit, but it does mean that the community has to get behind this project and fund the building of a unit as well as the day-to-day running of it.
The DHB have basically washed their hands and said, you want it? Step up, put your money where your mouth is.
Yes, and the community very much said that they want this unit to stay. However, the DHB has given us time to look into other options, and they also are prepared to fund, if a woman stays in the unit, they're prepared to fund that woman's stay.
So what's the next step in the process?
Well, the next step is for any parties or persons interested in putting together an expression of interest to get it to the District Health Board by the 5th of June.
And what would be an ideal outcome for you from this?
Oh, definitely to continue to have a safe place for women to birth in our area. That's the most important focus of our fight here, and to be able to give them quality postnatal care as well.
It's so important that we have something in Morrinsville, isn't it?
It is. Morrinsville covers a huge geographical area, and it's okay if you're transferring from Morrinsville in labour to get to Hamilton. It's unpleasant, but it's manageable. But if you live at Patatonga or somewhere like that, it's a long, long way to go. And we know women will be birthing in the back of cars, and that is not safe.
Ali Thomas, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
For more information on the submission process, go to waikatodhb.health.nz or the Piako Maternity Action Group Facebook page. Coming up after the break, a new texting system to alert you of danger. Welcome back. Bay of Plenty residents can now sign up to receive Civil Defence text alerts. I spoke with Civil Defence to find out about the new system.
Hillary is basically a system that sends out text alerts, which we now have control over. So we're able to send subscribers to our system alerts about any relevant emergencies that are happening in the Bay of Plenty.
What will a text message be sent for? Is it any civil defence emergency?
No, I think I'd like to stress that the texting system is about alerting people that something serious is happening, so we will reserve it mostly for events where there is significant threat to life or property, such as a tsunami warning.
What are some other things that could be sent for?
We potentially could be sending the text alerts if there's following a major earthquake, or if there's been a volcanic eruption or pending volcano eruption are the examples of a text alert system.
Are there any other places around the country that use something similar, or are we the first in the Bay of Plenty?
No, we're not the first. Many agencies and other departments use text alerting for different reasons. Until recently, the Western Bay District Council ran a text alerting system just for Western Bay, but what we've decided is to expand the system and that text alerting functionality across the whole region.
What will a text look like?
The text will be very brief. We are constrained by the number of characters a text can send, and so it will just contain the word Civil Defence Alert as well as the nature of the event and to go to your radio for information.
Why did the council decide to update this method? Is radio no longer the way to go?
No, this doesn't replace radio. Radio is still the best method for getting out information. The text doesn't really give you information, it's more of an alert to turn on your radio. The council, all the councils rather, in the Civil Defence Group, or 7 councils across the Bay of Plenty, collectively have agreed to share this service to make it more efficient across all communities.
Why come together with all these other organisations then?
The Civil Defence Act already stipulates that the Civil Defence Group in the Bay of Plenty has all councils as members. So therefore my office often looks at how best we can deliver a service across all those communities.
Can you remind us some of our biggest threats here in the Bay of Plenty?
At the moment, the biggest threats are flooding. That's the most common given the weather patterns we have in the Bay of Plenty. And also given the onset of weather events, we will obviously only send alerts if we have enough warning and time, and also if we can't use other methods for communicating those alerts. The best way to sign up is to go to our our website page at www.bopcivildefence.govt.nz, and on the home page is a subscribe to emergency alert button where you click and you give your relevant information.
You can sign up by visiting bopcivildefence.gov.nz. A love of Japan, the Japanese culture, and a desire to share their extensive collection of Japanese books has seen one woman and her partner open a library in their own home. Gillian York has over 3,000 books in her Japan library Puka Puka, which is situated in her own home in Mackay Town and is open to the public by appointment. Anne-Marie spoke with Gillian to find out more about this unique venture.
Gillian, welcome to Central News. Now, you and your partner Hitoshi have recently opened Japan Library Puka Puka on your property in Mackay Town. Tell me about the library.
Thank you. Yes, we've only just opened it. We wanted to offer a place that can be an exchange for anybody who's interested in Japan.
How many books do you have in the library?
At the moment on the shelves we have almost 3,000, but we have a lot more in our library, in our garage.
Yes, yet still to be sorted.
Yes, and also we have only one of each book on the library, no duplicate copies.
Where did you get all the books from?
We had an article in a Japanese newspaper in 2009 telling people about our plans to start the library, and in response to that a lot of Japanese readers sent us donations.
Wow.
It was read by over 6 million people, and we got over 1,800 books then, and the rest are from our own collections and others that we've gathered over the years. And
now, you lived in Japan for 30 years,
yes, I did.
So you must have had quite a collection of books to bring to New Zealand.
I did, yes. Both Hitoshi and I had our own we both loved reading. We've always collected books and had books. So we both had a lot of our own, as well as all the books we were given.
Are there any books that are particularly special to you?
Well, I was looking at it at the library yesterday and thinking how many of them are special. They're all quite special, but we're very grateful to all of the authors. I know how hard it is to write a book. I've written several myself.
Yes, yes, we've got a few examples of your books here. And this book here you were mentioning, Japanese Family Life with Dole and Flower Arrangements. That was one of your first books given to you by your parents?
That's right, yes. My mother and father, Jack and Pauline York, gave me this in the 1970s when I was just, my interest in Japan was just beginning. So it's been a long time in the developing, this library. And this is a more recent one, stories about the tsunami.
Yes.
Which is a very wonderful collection of essays written by different people who were affected.
So can people actually come to the library and take a book out?
But anybody's very welcome to come to the library, except they need to make an appointment first by email, because just to make sure that we're there, because the library is in our house. But anybody's very welcome. We want it to be a place where anybody can come freely. At the moment we haven't started the lending system, but people can look at the books there, but we are planning that for the future. And we want it to be it's a work in progress, so we tell you things as we go.
You've had to have the floors strengthened because of the weight of the books.
We have, yes, the combined weight of the books and the shelves, which are made of kauri, to reflect it's being in New Zealand, was over 3 tons. So yes, we did. We especially had the...
That's absolutely fantastic.
Just to make sure that the house would stand up to the weight.
It's a fantastic project that you're doing, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people, tourists, but also students as well.
Yes, we hope anybody who has a serious interest in Japan, or people who are wanting to go to Japan. When I went to Japan in 1978, there was very little information available. So, and also because Hitoshi and I go every year back to Japan for a month, twice a year, we can get new information, so we can help people find whatever they need to find.
If you would like to make an appointment to view the Japan Library, please email japanlib@gmail.com. Just ahead, your weather for Tuesday, and it's New Zealand Music Month. If you've just joined us, welcome to Central News. May is New Zealand Music Month, and we have an abundance of talent in our regions, including the latest Fallout, whose debut album is at number 13 on the New Zealand Top 20 charts within the first week of its release. I caught up with the lead singer, Brendan Piper. Brendan, why do you think that New Zealand Music Month is so important?
I think it's important for New Zealand musicians to get a platform and get promotion, and just as a country just get behind New Zealand musicians and New Zealand music. A lot of the year, a lot of people they don't get the urge to get behind New Zealand music, and we have really good New Zealand musicians here, so it's it's just a tall poppy syndrome thing. If you like a band, appreciate them, go buy an album and support them, because it's really sad, but I've seen a lot of bands that I love and look up to in New Zealand just break up, and it's kind of scary, but it's the way that things are going. People expect to have music for free now, and it's kind of like, oh, a New Zealand band released a new album, well, can I get it for free? And it's like, no, well, I'm not going to buy it then. And it's kind of like, well, you're not going to get a house built for free, so you can't expect it for free. But it's the way of the industry, so it's kind of hard. But I think in New Zealand Music Month, people should at least, just for that month, get behind New Zealand music and just support it, and that's where bands are going to shine, in Music Month. So it's very important for New Zealand music.
Speaking of buying albums, one album we could buy is the latest Fallout's new album. Yes. Tell us more about the actual recording of the album. What kind of style can we expect from it, and who would buy it?
I think everyone in New Zealand would buy it. It's crazy because it was almost 2 years in the making, travelling to New Plymouth back and forwards every fortnight or so, to record and to mix and to get it to the final stages, and just so much hard work involved. I didn't expect that it would be such it's a constant effort, You know, you can't just sit back and just be like, oh, yeah, no, it'll do itself. You know, it's not. It's a labour of love in itself. You've got to, give it everything, because you know the saying, you only get out what you put in.
So rock and roll's not all glamour and fast cars and that kind of thing.
There's a lot of hard work, especially in New Zealand, I think, because, I'm not saying that you have to work harder here than anywhere else, because obviously with music it's, you know, the way it is anywhere, but just in New Zealand, you know, we're not the type of country to push and elevate bands, you know, that we love on a constant level, so it's but it's getting there. You know, a lot of bands are coming out of New Zealand that are really good, and you think, wow, this is New Zealand, you know. So I think it's awesome.
Now, quickly tell me, what is this rather interesting image here? What's that from?
That's our friend Zoe. She's in the music video, one of our great friends. Our photographer that we have took a photo the day of the shoot, and it just ended up far too perfect to just be an image. We're like, is this fate that this should be the album cover? Because we'd actually almost settled on the inlay as the cover, which is another image in the album, but we ended up settling on this because it just, I don't know, it made more of a statement. And it's like a movie poster, there's a secondary image in her eye as well, so there's more to the image than meets the eye.
Wow, it's very eye-catching. Thank you for coming in, Brendan.
Thank you.
The latest Fallout's debut album is available on iTunes, amplifier.com and in store at JB Hi-Fi. Now for Tuesday's weather, Hamilton, a few showers becoming frequent and northwesterlies. Your expected high is 17 and an overnight low of 7. The same for the rest of the Waikato, Paeroa with an expected high of 18 and an overnight low of 7. Matamata 16 and 7. Taomusu 17 and 7. Tokoroa 14 and 7. Bay of Plenty, a few showers developing in the afternoon with an expected high of 18 and an overnight low of 10 for Tauranga. The rest of the Bay of Plenty, a few morning showers east of Te Puke, then a period of showers spreading from the west during the afternoon and into the evening. Westerlies as well, with an expected high of 16 and an overnight low of 10. That is the news for today. Like us on Facebook or email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz. We'd love to hear your feedback. Join me again tomorrow night as I discuss with police whether methamphetamine is a problem in the Bay of Plenty, and Annie meets a young inventor changing the way we do fencing. I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.